floor. Practice in front of that mirror, girl, you twerking it on the dance floor. Practice in front of that mirror, girl, you twerking it on the twerking it on the. Practice in front of that mirror, girl, you twerking it on the dance floor. Practice in front of that mirror, girl, you twerking it on the floor. Twerking it on the dance 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 floor. Practice in front of that mirror, girl, you twerking it on the dance floor. Practice in front of that mirror, girl, you twerking it on the dance floor. Practice in front of that mirror, girl, you twerking it on the twerking it on the. Practice in front of that mirror, girl, you twerking it
What's going on, everybody? How's it going? This is the New Pit Show. I don't know if you can see what's going on here. Everybody say hi. You're on TV now. We got a lot of stuff going on now. Let me check your mics real quick. Go ahead and talk.
Talking. I'm good.
Cool. You don't have to get that close
Talking.
to the mics anymore.
Really?
Those are just kind of there to be there. You guys can just talk now. It's just talk show.
Sweet. Sounds
You know what I'm
good.
saying?
Yeah.
So what's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Mine's kind of loud, huh?
A little bit.
There we go. Pretty good.
How y'all doing?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's been a pretty good day. Good President's Day. No school.
Yeah, that's always nice.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and introduce each other, or yourselves. Go ahead, Burke.
All right. Well, I'm Jeremiah Burke. Alrighty then. I've been here for a couple weeks now. I play football here at Eastern New Mexico. Film major. Trying to just learn the ropes and get everything done.
Nice.
Well, I'm Gary Tebow. If you don't know me by now, Jesus, I hope you're new. I do everything they do, really. So
Yeah, and I'm Matt Cook. I went on once last season, and I've been on quite a few times this season too. So I'm excited to be here.
All right. Well, cool. It's good to have you guys. If you're watching this, you'll notice that we have a little more going on now. We kind of built a little set. We did a little test on YouTube. Right now we're on YouTube only just because apparently Facebook has a limit on how long we can broadcast.
you think they warn you or something? Right?
Yeah, before it cuts out in the middle of our
Hopefully.
intro sequence. That's
Yeah.
dumb.
Shout out to Facebook.
Yeah. So Facebook. This is another reason I
Get
don't
it
like
together.
Zuckerberg.
Zuckerberg.
No, it's all right. YouTube is better though. So today we got the topic that we've been trying to talk about since day one, pretty
Yeah,
much,
since we came back, really.
for the longest time. And does anybody want to introduce the topic? Well, actually, let's just go like normal. Let's go into we don't have any today in history. What is pushing you guys around today?
I always forget to think about this
Yeah,
ahead of
We
time.
got to plan ahead in today in history.
You get it? Yeah.
I'm not into pushing around. I don't know. Anything pushing y'all around?
Accounting.
Yeah.
That class is hard. Very, very hard. Oh gosh.
Numbers.
Yeah, I know it's wild,
Just
man.
say numbers.
Yeah.
Just so tedious. I had our first test too. Took 2 hours.
I think for me,
Okay.
the thing that's pushing me around is like school in general.
You're not lying.
Starting to get fatigued for the semester.
No, it's like it's so pointless at this point for me. I'm making T-shirts. Like that's what I'm
Well,
planning on doing.
I got a good fun fact for today in history.
Oh yeah,
in
let's hear it.
1792, the U.S. Postal Service was created on this day.
Wow,
So there we go. Go mail.
Yeah,
Alright.
fantastic.
that's a good thing because that started another thing where we started getting corporations involved in the mail, and now it gets here and like Amazon is good at that now.
One day
The
shipping and
drones,
stuff,
yeah,
yeah.
That's a huge industry now, and
Yeah.
it definitely helps out all of our businesses
makes
here
our
in
lives
the United States. Yeah.
Western civilizationized, I guess.
Yeah.
You could pretty much equate that to the shipping industry as to how connected we are. That and social media. I would say those are the two things that kind of connect us all.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff
started-
is fantastic. It goes on so much more than you'd think. Like,
Yeah.
how do we get Chiquita bananas here in Portales, New Mexico?
Yeah.
You would never think about that, shipping industry.
How do people get peanuts over in Maine?
Exactly.
I mean, actually, they probably have peanuts factories that way, but like
Yeah.
Portales will deliver to some places.
That's how we get our money over here. I like
Yeah.
online shopping.
Yeah.
I'm a big online shopper. So.
Oh man, it's over when I get on
Oh,
Amazon.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah, but if you think about it, I mean, not a lot of people use the U.S. Postal Service. They use corporations like FedEx and UPS.
Yeah, the U.S. Postal Service turned into very government subsidized, so it started turning bad, and then they allowed FedEx and like UPS to come into the picture, and they were like, oh well, you could use us. We charge maybe a little bit more at the time. I don't know. It's probably cheaper. Now.
It's probably
Oh,
cheaper.
actually, no. I think U.S. Postal Service is probably
is the cheapest.
the cheapest, but
Slower.
yeah, because you're
Oh,
paying for
yeah.
like
That's
3
why it's
days
the
of shipping.
cheapest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I guess that's the first connecting point because it was mail. That was our social media, right?
Back in the
Mail.
day, yeah.
So we stayed in touch.
That's wild.
Crazy. I'm gonna check real quick. Let's see how this show is going on here. It seems to be working. I mean, Facebook, obviously, like we said.
Sorry.
Too bad, so sad. Yeah. It's working on Facebook, so.
Oh, it is.
Oh, we are live on Facebook.
YouTube. The link is on Facebook. It just shows this, if you could see that. So, yeah. Anyways, let's get to the meat. Let's talk about the wall.
The wall.
Finally.
Yes. I don't know what to really, start off on. There's so much stuff.
Well, we could start off and going around maybe in just with our personal stances on how we approach the
Let's do
concept
it.
of the wall.
Go ahead and start, Cook.
I personally, everybody knows so far at this point that hopefully that I'm very, very liberal, and I am, because of that, my views on immigration are very, I have personal policies of I think it should be very open, and so yes, I'm against the wall. Tebow.
Yeah, I'm back and forth on it. Like I'm with you personally. I think it's messed up, but it will help us though. But there are other ways to get around that wall. It's not completely helping us, but
Hey, real quick, can you flip that switch up on your microphone? I want to try something. Because I can't hear you. Just like all the way up if you can.
Good.
Talking to it?
Good. You hear that?
What the heck was
Wild
that?
stuff, bro.
Maybe turn it all the way down.
That's off.
That's off.
Yeah.
Oh, what now? Can you hear me now?
What the heck is going on?
I can hear him.
I can hear him, but I don't think the mic's working.
On.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Real fast. Okay, just turn it off.
Here, we can share one, Tebow.
I'll turn that thing
I mean,
off.
just if you can hear it, you can hear it.
I know what the
picking
problem
up.
is. There's batteries in this thing.
Sorry, people watching.
There's always something happening.
Yeah.
Every show.
We're not perfect
Technical difficulties crap there.
yet.
Yeah, technical difficulties is
We're getting
not very
there.
rare on this show. It's pretty normal. All right, this could potentially pop.
Well, while we're talking about that, Austin's working on that. Jeremiah.
I'm from southern New Mexico, and I realize that none of you guys are from southern New Mexico and realize how the border actually is. I'm not against the wall, per se. I mean, do I think it's a good idea? No. Is it gonna work? No. Trump's retarded for thinking that the wall's gonna work, unless he puts a guard post up every mile, and they can see forever. But think about it. The U.S. Border Patrol is the second most funded thing in the United States. I mean, it's not gonna change anything. But, if he's going to pay $80 an hour to build the wall, I'm going to be down there building that wall. Are you kidding me?
It's a good job. Yeah.
That's the same thing. That's a
Well,
lot
yeah.
of money.
I mean, and honestly, the New Mexico border, it's pretty dangerous anyway. There's not any water, and there's no towns. It's just desert.
Yeah.
You try to walk through New Mexico, unless you have a bunch of water with you, or you're going to get heat stroke. We get a lot we have over 50 deaths per year found in New Mexico of people trying to cross the border.
Wow.
And
Jeez.
it's not just from drought and everything, but all the that is all private land. And
So we should
ranchers-
stop them.
Ranchers
from
take care of
dying.
it.
So we should stop them from dying. Okay.
So
Okay.
it's helping. It's helping.
Yeah, no.
Saving lives.
Obviously,
We got our own natural wall down there.
Yeah. Well, we don't want the Mexicans to die when they cross over. That's the whole
No,
point,
we
right?
want to catch them and send them back, right?
Or vice versa. We don't want ourselves to die when we cross over.
Yeah. That
Even though we don't have to do it.
protect America. You guys think the wall's for the Mexicans getting in? No, it's from us going through. No,
Yeah, let's go the other way.
we're trying to protect ourselves from dying in the desert. So, no, I'm kind of like typical conservative as far as the wall goes. A lot of what I think the wall is good for is like kind of like the projects back in the day that helped us get out of the Great Depression, like the Hoover Dam and things like that, where
The New Deal.
yeah, the New Deal, all those things that the president put into action to help us gain jobs from people that weren't working. And you can only really argue this point if you agree on the facts of unemployment, which are so biased and so wrong in so many aspects. Because they talk about unemployment these days being at the lowest it's ever been. But what about the people that... So when they calculate unemployment, this is how you get a brochure. or you get a questionnaire on the internet.
It's-
Are you employed? Who's going to answer
Or
that?
are you actively searching employment? And if
Yeah.
that's what they count on, I've seen a
That's what they
documentary
count
about
on.
this.
Yeah.
They only count on people actively searching for jobs.
So it looks sick. It looks like we have an unemployment like crazy. But when you also are on food stamps, like basically you're taken away from the system at that point.
Yeah.
You're unemployed. You're on food stamps, and they don't count you as unemployed because you said that you're not searching for the job anymore. So I guess when you kind of get around all those statistics, we need jobs. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
Like we do need jobs.
Well,
I
it's
don't think it's very
interesting,
arguable.
That's the pros of it.
It's interesting you mentioned the New Deal because I guess I wouldn't have expected that because I mean that was making government bigger to and adding much more government programs to add jobs and to create jobs was that's a pretty hardcore liberal ideal. And I'll give you this, it didn't really work that well.
It didn't work in the parts where the government took control. It worked where the government hired companies
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, and but in this case, are we, has Trump talked about, who's going to pay the $80 an hour? Is that coming out of the government? And if so, who's paying for that? Is that going to be a
Well,
government
this is the
program like the New
subsidies
Deal, or
from
is that
Mexico.
subsidies?
These are the subsidies from Mexico. We are taxed almost like, or we're not taxed. We are paying, basically, I don't know how to put this in perspective. We're giving Mexico a lot of, we're shipping out a lot of things. And, wait, is it the other way around? Mexico's shipping in a lot of things.
we get a lot of our
We're
stuff from
buying
Mexico.
from Mexico. They're not buying anything from us. So our money's over there, but I totally lost my train of thought. I was just
No,
looking at
you're thinking so.
Yeah.
Our money's over there that we should just stop doing that and use that money to build the wall, right? Correct.
Yeah.
what you're
So
trying to get at.
what it is you tax the.
You want to create a tariff system and see now
Well,
this.
no, that's not. I don't want to create that. I think that's the only way to pay for the wall, which is the plan. by the
okay.
way.
All right. But that's exactly what we thought would fix us in 1929. We were going to tax all these countries coming in because you know what? We were selling so much stuff to them. Like, okay, well, we're going to tax the goods you're selling to us, and it just killed us.
Yeah,
we went into the Great
Well,
Depression.
This is one country.
We weren't
we're talking
taxing the countries. We were taxing ourselves that moved to the other countries to sell back to us.
Yeah, I'll admit that was
Which-
another liberal idea that didn't really work.
It was it was a little different of a concept. It was
Looked
our
great on
companies that were
Looked great on paper.
Yeah, it kind of didn't work the way that it was supposed to. But I guess the biggest thing for me is the jobs that it would supply. I mean, I'm not gonna go work on the wall, but if it was paying $80 an hour,
Yeah, you might look into it.
I would definitely look into it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know how many people are going to be able to work on the wall. I mean, people like us who have sound foundations and can work pretty much anywhere.
Mhm.
But then you get the people that struggle for jobs like
Mhm.
every day, and so that's going to give them a good couple of months worth of work where they can either save up
Yeah.
and get their good money's worth, or they can
I'd
blow
say
it away.
probably a couple of years. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not gonna take
yeah, but
months
not.
to
No, I
create.
mean, I'm talking about like locational. So
Okay.
what's going to happen is he wants to build a wall, and he's going to have to use local businesses to do it. He's not going to be able to create a corporation that's going to go and build the whole thing.
Yeah.
No, he's
Well,
going to have local businesses
Yeah,
build it.
exactly.
So
And
who
so those
pays for it?
Who pays? Or well, I guess there's. I mean, that's the big question.
The government pays for it.
Yeah, the
because I know the
government-
whole Mexico is going to pay for the wall thing. I mean,
It is though, through the subsidies. That's like the whole point. Like people say, "Oh, Mexico can't pay for the wall. They're not just going to hand us money." Well, no, they're not. Nobody said that.
Yeah.
Everybody took that out of context.
well, why don't you explain what a subsidy is?
It's a tax.
It's like a rollback on taxes to encourage, more spending, more exchanges of products and services.
Basically, it basically encourages companies that are in Mexico selling to the United States to move into the United States to start selling. Because
Yeah.
across borders, they're going to tax it. But if they're in the United States, they won't be taxed.
Yeah,
So,
so-
for a company, like say I'm selling T-shirts over there,
Mm-hmm.
I get taxed a crazy amount. I'm not going to go sell T-shirts to America anymore. I'll just either sell it to Mexico there, or I'll move to the United States where I'm from, which is usually how it is. It's like the companies that are from America that are in Mexico selling back to America because they get cheap labor in Mexico, which is kind of, it's business. That's how business works, but it is definitely not the moral high ground in a
But
lot
if
of
you
senses.
if you talk about like taxes and subsidies in the most pure definition, some things is they would raise taxes on cigarettes, for example, to discourage buyers from buying cigarettes, or they would subsidize things like give me a product that the government is trying to push. Solar panels. They would subsidize solar panels because they're trying to get they take off the taxes and they roll back the taxes because they want more people to buy it because they're better for the environment. So that's what a subsidy is in its purest definition.
So I guess I'm confused
That's
on the
just from
definition. Subsidy is taken away of taxes,
It's
and what
taken
is
away
putting
of taxes to
what-
encourage people to spend more money.
What's the term putting on taxes?
It's just, I guess,
Tariff, isn't it?
Tariff.
Yeah.
Well, tariff is.
So
yeah.
if I keep saying subsidies and that's wrong, I apologize. I'm talking about they're putting more taxes on the companies in Mexico shipping over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
that's exactly what a tariff is. Is the goods being
I was
tax
saying
coming into the
I was saying
country.
subsidies, wasn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which was wrong.
So a subsidy
Think so.
would be if we subsidized companies in Mexico. That would be we would take off the taxes on the imports from Mexico
Mm-hmm.
to encourage them or to encourage people
us
from
to
America
buy
to
from
buy
Mexican
more from
materials.
Mexico.
That's what a subsidy would
That
be.
would be a subsidy.
So that's not the plan then.
You
That,
know,
the
he
plan
wants
is
to
tariffs.
He wants to tax.
It's not the
country
subsidies.
Yeah. So I was a little bit confused.
Yeah, sorry. It's not the subsidies then. It's tariffs. That's how it'll pay for it. Basically, there is a little bit, but there's not as much. So he would put more on, and strictly using that money coming from the tariffs would pay the
Okay,
workers.
but now when you get the tariffs, this is what could happen. Mexico could say screw America and stop shipping us goods.
well,
It could.
Mexico's not in
At this
charge of
point-
those plants that are Ford and all the companies we're buying from.
but
we don't buy Mexican stuff.
Yeah, I know, but Mexico, they're in Mexico.
Yeah.
They can say shut it down,
So
and it
the-
doesn't matter if it's an American company. If they say shut it down,
Well, nobody
it's-
buys the stuff
they're
in
shutting it
Mexico,
down.
so those companies are moving back.
It's a
Yeah.
disadvantage to the companies in Mexico too.
Yeah.
Imagine if you were selling things to one place and then it suddenly became much more expensive.
you had to
sell
pay
things
money
that
to
place.
sell
Yeah,
your
you
stuff
have to
there.
pay-
You're not going to do that anymore. You're
Exactly.
Like,
You're going to try to find an alternative market.
So they're going to come. There's either way. There's going to be more jobs in America at that point.
we're
one or
hoping.
the
That's-
other.
That's the idea.
And that's the whole point.
Like
If
it's
it
almost a
works.
lose-lose situation for Mexico. In a
Yeah.
sense that they're going to lose jobs no matter what happens.
And they're not feeling real loved right now, especially
No.
since Trump's trying to. I believe he's trying
Has
to
he got rid of NAFTA
renegotiate
yet?
NAFTA. Yeah,
Like, you
that's the other
can't-
thing. Because that Mexico loved.
Well,
that.
we get
That was
Well, you
a
need-
brilliant trade
we get
agreement
screwed
for
in
Mexico.
NAFTA.
We
Like
get
bad.
screwed with NAFTA, but think about it. We have 3 countries in North America. 3 countries.
Mm-hmm.
So you really want to tax all these countries to trade, or would you
Yeah.
have? Why?
Because we're the only stuff that actually makes good stuff. We don't buy Canadian products.
I'm sure we have plenty.
We
plenty
buy
of Canadian
American products
What do you
made
think
in
we?
Canada.
Where do you think we get all of our lumber and all of our other natural resources? We get it from
Minnesota.
Canada.
Well,
There's a lot of oil
also,
in Canada,
what is
too.
the?
Because
the-
we know the United States isn't cutting down their
and
natural
what is
resources.
that? What is that stops us from doing that? What organization is that stops us from actually being able to use our own natural resources, our own oil, our own timber? What?
The Forest Service.
No, it's the.
My mom works for that.
What is it? We were talking
Environmental
about
regulations.
environmental protection, EPA,
Oh, EPA.
Yeah.
Okay.
and that's another thing. See,
Well, the
all these
EPA
stuff works together. You can't just have one without the other.
No, yeah, they all got to coexist.
And so, if we're talking about the lumber situation, well, you have to get rid of the EPA
we
in
do-
order to.
we do
Okay,
do a
but
lot
we're
of
not going to
lumber.
get rid of the Environmental Protection Agency.
Well, it's kinda
we have
corrupt.
a responsibility.
We need to change something.
protect
Well, you-
something and preserve
Okay,
some parts of this
Okay,
world.
well, Cook, I see where you're coming from. You can't get rid of the EPA. No, you can't, because it does a lot of good, but it's really slow.
It's politicized
It's
now, though.
politicized and it's really slow. But then I also see where Patty's coming from is because
Because we had talked about this before,
we
actually.
have talked about this before, and in my hometown, we wanted to build a dam, and we wanted to dam our river. Okay, now in doing this, we would cause some environmental harm. Now the harm wasn't gonna. We were gonna dam up what was called Turkey Creek, and it's a big, and it would have just created a lake bigger than Elephant Butte, and so that would have created hundreds of jobs in itself, creating the dam for my community, and it would have created a tourist attraction for my community. But in doing so, it would have endangered the silverback minnow fish or something like that, and the Gila trout fish, which are dying fish. And if you're telling me if a fish cannot survive without human interaction, it doesn't deserve to be around. And you're gonna shut down a giant project like that can make so much money for the community for two fish that can't survive.
Oh,
without
you're
human-
talking about because it won't survive because of how much we've already involved ourselves in the world.
It's a dying fish. It's
Yeah.
already dying.
It's
It's
not-
dying
Yeah,
out, and
but-
it takes a bunch of human intervention to keep
I
it
can see.
alive.
I wasn't even going that way, but yeah, I could.
I'm gonna take a stance and personally disagree with that because
Yeah.
I mean, the reason it's dying is because of us, and
Yeah.
I mean we have a responsibility as humans on the earth that was given to us to at least preserve some of it. You know, I mean I know corporations and huge businesses are are important for the economy, but at the very end of the day, like economy aside, like jobs aside, like whole like I don't know, culture aside, like we live on Earth. It would be nice to preserve Earth, that we were given. I mean, this was, not to be religious, but it's like it's God's gift to us. This world, like, can we not destroy it?
Well,
Can we
here's the
not,
thing, too,
destroy all of its creations.
I would
Can we
never
not
disagree.
let them die.
Yeah, I would never disagree with you on that at all. Like, not even a little bit. I'm saying the people that are in charge of controlling us are the wrong people to have in charge of controlling us.
I agree, and I think
That's my
everybody's
argument.
too old. I think we've got to get a new generation of leaders in there. I think all these people want to stick it to the old ways, and the world's not like that anymore.
Well,
And even from a conservative standpoint, because I know you're a conservative,
Yeah.
and I know that a lot of your beliefs as a younger conservative don't affect with with the actual conservatives running the party right now.
yeah, see, the whole thing with being a conservative, you're usually like big oil and things like basically it's said as something like
Small government, local government.
Well, yeah, but it's like everybody puts this like label on being a conservative as you don't like the environment, you like big oil, you like destroying all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's not true. I mean, it might be for some people, but because I like oil is literally only because I like cheap prices in gas. It's not because I like destroying thousands of acres of land at all. That's not it at all. I'm just saying, I would be totally for electric cars and like windmills and stuff like that, but there's too many regulations on this crap because like Tesla can't even get a freaking car built anymore, and they're the only electric car, like the only one, because the EPA and some other organizations are stopping them because they're using some uranium products in them. Like, are you kidding? We're trying to fix something here, and you're gonna lose in some aspect of everything. And it's at which part are we losing the most at? I think we are losing the most at regulating ourselves because we're regulating the wrong things.
Yeah, but I mean, there's something to be said for using uranium responsibly. Because
Well, I don't think it's uranium. Yeah, no, I
like,
totally.
stuff like that. Sometimes, stuff can go wrong. Oil spills happen. All of that stuff does
Yeah.
happen. So it's like, I mean, as
Mhm.
much as,
Well-
as people, get mad at the EPA regulations, because chances are nothing would happen.
Mhm.
But because there is a little bit of a chance, like, I mean, of course, they're going to do everything they can to
stop it.
to stop it or to minimize that the chance of something bad happening and yeah, like, I mean,
I
like
think-
an oil spill or like a
Yeah.
I
a
think we're at a point
radiation
where we can
exposure.
move away from big oil. Like I know
We definitely don't need it.
we don't need it, and I know that we can't just say, oh, okay, we're shutting off oil tomorrow. It's not going to work like that.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to need oil for a while longer, but you don't have to push oil anymore. I'm saying like we don't need those two pipelines. We do not need them.
We don't.
We don't need them. We don't need to push
Well-
oil. These oil companies need to start renewing all of their billions of dollars, the trillions of dollars that they have, into renewable energy.
See,
And
but then it
that's
goes
why
back to
I'm
business.
for dams, I'm for wind, I'm for solar. And they even have a concept where you can build solar roads, which would power all of
See,
America's
that's
grid.
sick.
Big roads, and
That's freaking awesome.
You don't have
Yeah.
to pave them, and they create electricity, and then there's the LED lit up, so
Yeah.
you can see at night the lines.
So why don't you go build those roads? This is where I'm kind of getting at.
Well,
It's
That's
not.
where you have to. Where are you gonna do with all the roads that you tear up? Is the thing. You
And
got to
it's
tear
like,
up
who's
all
gonna-
this
who's gonna
asphalt.
pay for it?
Who's gonna pay for it?
Well, I'm saying there's these companies that are ready to do it. Like they've thought of it. They've engineered prototypes.
Well,
they're
they have-
ready.
it's ready
But
to go.
they just
no, they
need
have.
someone to pay
Why
them.
don't they?
Someone needs to open up their
What do you
wallet.
think it
They
is?
can't afford to do it. You can't afford to do it with
Exactly.
all the standards that we have now.
Exactly.
We need to get. And that's why I'm for.
So it's cheaper for oil
Redoing
and
it.
regular roads, and that's why nobody's going to change until the EPA allows
But
some
it's-
of these products.
It's gonna be too late. See, that's why it's
Exactly.
hard, and we need to push it now.
Well, you
as-
can't
as
tell these
people.
companies to lose their whole livelihoods because they need to switch over, even though it's more expensive. So it's like you either got to make it cheaper to do this stuff by not regulating as much, or
figure out a way to.
you
make
got to
money
force them
doing it.
to. Like, there's like no way around it. These companies are in charge of this stuff. I mean, that's the way it is. It's unfortunate.
In the long run,
Yeah.
you'd think it would be cheaper because you don't have to pay all these oil workers. and you see
Yeah.
you're losing the jobs. But the electricity's there, and you only need like 10, 20 people to operate a solar farm.
I'm just saying the root of all evil is greed and
Greed.
money,
Yeah,
and
no, I've definitely agreed.
that's
with you.
why it's like it the way it is. Because it's way cheaper to make oil than it is to make fuel efficient cars. But in the long run, it wouldn't be. But nobody thinks like that, and the CEOs are doing good. Why do they change to something that costs them more? That's where we got to get into, and that's why these regulations are so bad, and that's why these companies don't do it. Like, nobody's against it.
Yeah.
It's like everybody with a moral conscience wants to get to renewable energy. Like, it's not a thing until you start adding money. That's the what's it called? The regulator. I don't know.
Problem. You can just say that.
Yeah, that's it.
Issue.
That's literally all it comes down to is the
Yeah.
money.
And
It's unfortunate. It totally
it's easy
is.
it's easy to say, like, well, the government should be paying for it because the government paid for the roads to get built before, you know. But it's like, but where's the government going to get the money from? Believe me, it's got a pretty tight budget as it is, and as much as it collects from taxes, I mean, a lot of that stuff doesn't go straight into savings. Like, they spend that, you
And
know,
we got to
they
get
spend
rid
it
of
on
some of the stuff
everything.
we're spending on.
Yeah, they spend it on, you know, on all sorts of things, and so I mean, we don't have all this extra money lying around. Believe me, if we did,
We have
would've-
negative money lying around.
Yeah, we have negative money. We wouldn't be borrowing from any other nations or anything. But it's like, so the more everybody wants to build the roads, like you
Yeah.
said, but nobody wants to pay for it.
Yeah.
And everybody wants the government to pay for it, but nobody wants to pay more in taxes. You know?
Exactly.
And it's like, because that's one way,
Yeah.
but nobody wants to pay more in taxes. We already
And
pay a lot in taxes.
The only way you're gonna get everybody to pay more in taxes is if we're total communists. Like I'm like, I understand how the governments around the world work, and
Yeah.
I know why they don't work. Like, the reason communism doesn't work in a lot, well, actually it does work in some places because it's pure communism.
Well,
That's the only way these governments work.
Theoretically, communism is the best form of government.
Exactly.
Pure idea.
Yeah.
Theoretically, but people get power.
People
power
have people
lust.
too. People are people.
Humanity can't do it. It's just.
And
there's
then
no
the
way.
people who already have money are not about to give it up and go to the same social status as a homeless person, which would mean,
Exactly.
because if we transition to a communist, whatever environment,
but
then
you-
everybody is worth the same.
See, but you don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And that's where you get the idea of socialism.
Yeah, and socialism
Socialism,
can't work
it
because
doesn't-
it's even less pure.
Yeah.
You have to be pure in these things in order to make them work.
Exactly. And the other thing is like I understand the argument against it is
Yeah.
how hard are you going to work if the money goes into the government's pocket instead of straight into your pocket?
Yeah, why would I work harder than the person next to me and still get paid the same?
Exactly.
Like, I'm gonna
Why
work
would
the
I-
same as that guy.
Why would I start my own business, log,
Yeah, there's no
60
point.
hours a week of my own work when the money is going to go to the government, that I make.
Yeah.
Whereas like where I could work at Domino's, work 40 hours a week and, and still hold
Get
the
paid
same,
than you would at
still
McDonald's,
hold
more
the
than you would at
same
McDonald's.
value,
Yeah.
Why would I work 60 hours instead of 40 hours?
Yeah. You gonna say something, Tebow? You look like you're.
Oh, we're kind of getting away from
No.
from the wall.
Hey, but your microphone works now.
Yeah, finally, thank you. I've been trying to say that for a minute, but I've been so interested.
Sorry,
I'm like,
yeah.
that was good. It was
So
It was
good.
a good tangent.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were a little sidetracked, but
Yeah,
let's
kinda
get
got away
back
from
on
the
our
wall.
Yeah. So what
talk-
led us into that? What was it?
Well,
Money, wasn't it?
Money and
We were
jobs.
talking
yeah.
about, so, who's going
Money.
to pay for the wall? Who
Yeah.
pays for all this other stuff? Who pays for the EPA? Who pays for, all this other
Yeah.
things? But so if we get back onto the wall,
I
and we
guess
talk about,
we don't need to actually even talk about that part about it because
Yeah.
that's going to be told to us in a couple of weeks exactly how it's going to be paid for.
yeah.
So I guess what's the next thing is like.
What
All
kind
right,
of
so I'm
walls?
gonna throw out an argument here and let's debate this. I gotta make sure that I am new as well.
Yeah, I saw that.
But I'm gonna throw out an argument real quick, and mine is that we already have fences and walls and stuff built out. Why don't we just fortify them? That's my argument.
They
Do
are-
with that what you please.
Oh snap!
The southern border is the most fortified part of the United States.
Yeah,
It really
which
is.
is sad.
Even in New Mexico's border, which doesn't get a lot of traffic.
Yeah. Well, I've
It's
driven
heavily
past the
guarded.
border, and
I
it
have
wasn't
too.
anything. It was like a chain link fence.
Yeah.
Actually, no, there
Nothing
wasn't
like-
even a chain link fence. There was a dirt road.
Yeah, there's not even there. It's not even like in New Mexico. There's not even a fence. It's
Yeah.
a dirt road.
Well, in California, it's that.
But
They do have a wall
Well,
in
they have a
California.
wall in California, and they have one in Texas too.
I've seen the one in California.
So what I guess what my thing is, I think this is somewhere if I can kind of relay how I'm thinking on this aspect that we might all agree on at the very end when we finish like discussing some of these things that I kind of have in mind. What are the cons of all of the other arguments aside, like Mexican immigration, stuff like that. All that aside, what's the bad parts of having a physical wall on our border? I guess let's just talk about that. What are the repercussions that we might face physically, not necessarily sociologically?
Physical repercussions of the wall.
Are you talking about like environmental damage? Because I don't think it.
Yeah, so like
okay.
that would be one.
wouldn't do any environmental
Traveling,
Traveling. I mean, traveling. What do you mean by traveling?
Yeah.
vacationing.
I mean,
Vacationing
clearly,
in
like, if you have
Mexico,
things
and you got the
affected.
legal ports to go through. All the border towns will have legal ports to go through.
if you have a visa,
The lines
it
might be
shouldn't
longer,
hard
though.
at all.
Well,
Shouldn't affect
they
that.
still have to go on the roads to get through. So.
Yeah,
what
and
I'm
it's not.
saying.
It's not like Americans
They're not
crossing
building-
Mexico illegally.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, so
So
we
sure that it
Mexico
happens.
shouldn't lose tourism with that.
No, they wouldn't.
I
I guess planes fly over it.
yeah. It's not. No, but I feel like it's a
How's it affect the cartel?
social. Well,
The cartel it does affect.
Yeah,
Eh.
that's when you can say something about
But
physical.
you know the cartel lives on,
impact in
the
that.
cartel's on both sides of the border.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't
you
really
gotta
matter.
know
They'll
it.
build
Doesn't
tunnels
matter.
anyways. They already have tunnels.
It's
Really?
the walls.
Yeah,
the
they do
walls
actually have
really
tunnels.
not gonna stop anything.
Because there is a
Might
wall in
slow 'em
California.
down
I
a
think they
little
actually
bit.
have a tunnel under that. Or,
Yeah,
I
they
don't know.
find
This
them
is
all the-
conspiracy
they
stuff.
find them
So
all
how
the
do
time.
you, if I might ask
Yeah.
you a question, how do you propose we stop the inflow of illegal drugs and stop the cartels?
Well, I mean,
you
the
know,
wall, that's
selling
what the-
into
well,
the
yeah, wall's
United
for.
States.
Only-
If you say like, I mean, they're going to build tunnels. I mean, they get pretty creative. I mean,
Yeah.
we've all seen that cannon that they use to
Yeah.
on the internet where they shoot
Yeah.
stuff over the wall. You know, there already is, and but you know, they have tunnels. They
just
have
think
ways to smuggle.
It's just another
But how if I may-
fortification.
well,
like
if
you're
I
just
may
gonna make
ask,
it
like-
harder at any.
There's always gonna be drugs.
And
Like
there's-
Well,
the
with
only
the
way
wall-
to get it stopped is to end total drug usage in the United States.
Yeah, I know.
That's not
Yeah,
gonna
that's not gonna
happen.
happen.
That's not now.
The cartel. Look at
The cartel.
the wall's
owns
not gonna
the border.
solve everything.
It'll slow it down though, and then maybe you can focus on those tunnels, like how you talk about. You know what I'm saying?
It's just, I guess the wall itself physically, as a physical barrier, makes it harder for the illegal cartel and for the influx of.
obstacle in their road.
Which is, I think is, I don't think anything should be wrong with that. Like
Yeah.
that argument, there's nothing.
The only thing that upsets me with the wall, and I really don't even care because as a Southern New Mexican, I know how it's like to live near the border, and yeah, there is some stuff that we could use
Yeah,
to secure our border, and I am all for it.
it helps the guys in the little expeditions on their roads.
Yeah,
they don't have
them
to.
too. But what I'm thinking is,
chase down
what is
people
the
anymore.
world gonna think after we physically border off another country?
Well, here's the deal: we paid for Mexico's southern wall $75 million to build their southern wall
I
at the
didn't even
Panama Canal.
Really?
That's a fact that
Well,
I
that
just
was
learned.
that was
Well,
a huge trade.
the
thing,
United
and that was
States owns the
yeah.
Panama Canal.
that helps
Well,
so
actually,
much.
I think that
No,
just
Mexico
released
asked
back
us to pay for
Panama.
this wall.
I
that
didn't
they
even know
have.
they had a wall. in
I didn't
Mexico
either.
before.
I
Me
just
either.
learned this recently. I was like, all right,
the
this
Panama
brings so
Canal-
much.
Well, they can't be
So
that big of a
much.
deal.
Yeah,
like-
but think about Mexico though. Like, is Mexico a world power? Is Mexico a world dominant force?
Yeah, so why do they get a wall to protect their?
yeah, if anything, we need the wall then.
Well, no,
so
I
no one
mean,
should think anything of it.
The canal had so many like implications in opening up trade from all over the world and opening up more possibilities when it comes to globalization. I mean, how else is China supposed to trade with England if they have to go all the way down underneath South America and then come back up? I mean, or could they just cut across Central America like with a canal? So I mean, that opened up so many possibilities
Well,
for trade.
That's not. Yeah, I agree with that.
So
That's
it's
not
like-
really this though. That's
You're talking about
there's an actual border wall.
between Panama and Mexico.
That's I'm not
Or-
very good
I
at
don't-
geography.
honestly,
What's
Wait,
Don't
What's the
think
country
I
connected?
don't think Panama touches Mexico.
Yeah, that's, that's like a little island. Isn't
you
it?
confused me there for a second. I was like, wait a second.
Let's look this
Man,
up.
I really
That's
don't
a
know.
crazy wall.
I don't know about this one. Like a.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So
It's,
I guess this thing I saw recently. I'm gonna have to look it up and share it or something. But we actually did pay for a wall on Mexico's southern border
when was this?
specifically to stop immigration.
Well, I mean, I think it slows it down.
Illegal
I mean,
immigration.
A lot of people in South America, not
Yeah.
just Mexico, but a lot of people in South America are trying to get into the United States.
Mackay says Guatemala.
Guatemala.
Not Panama.
Guatemala.
Hey, shout out to Mackay. Sorry, dude. We were gonna have you on the show as far as like commenting, but Facebook sucks.
I miss you, dude.
So that's
Yeah,
that.
dude. How's Adams State?
we
Yeah, I
missed
just
him
saw
at
him this weekend. He's
Really?
doing pretty good. Yeah, I was at Adams State. It's a really nice college.
Yeah,
like,
it's not
super
bad.
nice.
Alamosa looks a lot like it's really farmlandy. Did you see any
Kind
Amish
of.
people?
No.
Amish?
Alamosa is there's hundreds of Amish people.
Really?
All like it's literally because you know how you have the mountains on both sides and
On
it's
all,
just,
it was like
it's
circled
like
by
in a
mountains.
it's like a bowl. Yeah, it's like a bowl.
I've never heard of this.
I haven't
before.
either,
It's
actually.
like,
wanna
it's like
see
a
it.
bowl. And
I mean,
it's
I've heard of
just
that, but like the
flat.
Amish. I haven't heard of the
But
Amish.
there's tons of Amish people
Yeah,
out there. It's
but,
crazy. If you go out into the farmland, it's all Amish.
Interesting.
About that wall, though.
Yeah, about that. That's what I'm talking
And,
about.
and you know, it's not a wall down there, their southern border. It's
Yeah,
a
what is? Pull it up.
fence.
Pull it up
It's a
on
mean,
the.
wall
I mean,
fence.
Well, it was
It's not
75. No, I heard a 75. A number in the $75 million range.
Okay, I'm gonna
as
pull
to
it up on the
what we
AirDrop.
donated.
Really?
Oh wait, I need to be on Wi-Fi for that.
I'm sorry. This is kind of unprofessional that I just spouted that fact without actually citing it.
Yeah, it's
So
okay.
let's look it up real quick.
Yeah, we're gonna try and do that. Anyways, any other things while we're looking this up
About
as
the
far
wall?
as the physical barriers? Back to that subject. What do you guys see? Like, I mean, this is not really. I don't think this is. Is there an argument, Cook? You're the left, our representative from the left.
The physical.
Yeah. What are the arguments? Sorry, it was bugging me. What are the arguments for the physical arguments of the wall? Because I don't know. I guess
against the physical arguments.
yeah, against the wall.
Against the wall.
Yeah.
I guess once it's already built, there's not a whole lot that it's really like. There's not a whole lot of damage it's really doing. But I think in the process of creating it, I think that's a lot of the reason why I'm definitely against it. I think that it definitely doesn't help our relations with Mexico, and which I think it's important to be good on good terms with our neighbor. And I mean, a lot of you guys saw that the president of Mexico was supposed to meet with Donald Trump, and he announced that he wasn't going to.
Well,
Didn't that happen? Somebody, I believe
Yeah.
I remember seeing that he announced he was not going to
I seen
to
that
meet
too.
with our president because he felt very, very much disrespected.
Yeah.
Which I would too if I was
That-
in his position. Mr. Trump has not said, President Trump has not said a whole lot of good things about Mexico.
and that's why. It's just the way he says things. Going
Yeah.
back, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd be cool with it if he said it in like a more respectable manner. You know, it goes back to the way how Trump says
Yeah.
things.
But still, yeah,
Kind of
I
how
mean,
we're talking about that what were we talking about 2 weeks ago?
the Muslim ban.
Yeah, the Muslim ban. It's all depends on how he says it. So kind of screwed himself over like that.
Yeah, and actually speaking about the Muslim ban, I saw something interesting about
Sharia law.
So did you know? Oh, you were talking about
What?
Oh, I found something out really interesting about Sharia law that I didn't understand, and as an American, I really thought that Sharia law was this terrible Islamic way of living. And honestly, it's not. And I've done a little bit of research on it, and Sharia law literally translates to law of the land. So
Yeah.
if you're in Islam and you follow Sharia law as an American citizen, you get all the rights as an American citizen following Sharia law. It's just a religious way of following the law of the land.
Yeah, so like.
And so
a
I
lot
didn't
of
understand
them,
that.
A lot of them
And
are
so
just like.
when people say Saudi Arabia, for instance, lives off Sharia law, that's their law of their country saying that they can have public beheadings, they can flog people, religious police, all that stuff. That's part of their law of the land. And so Sharia law technically isn't that anything bad.
That sounded bad to me.
Totally something that blew me away.
Oh well, the thing
But
that
Saudi Arabia,
Oh
is,
yes.
of course, bad. But
Yeah, that sounded bad to me.
Oh yeah. That I don't think they're what they have going on is super great over there. But what I was saying is, so did you guys know that Iran reciprocated the ban?
yeah,
On,
U.S. traveled to Iran. I
New
knew that.
Mexico? I mean, not on New Mexico. I'm on the United States.
You gotta tell me twice. I ain't gonna go over there.
Yeah. So I mean, I think clearly from a worldwide like business relations, like we have lost. I know we don't depend on Iran for trade, but we've lost an entire nation when it comes to trade. When it comes to imports in
You
like,
got to
places
remember
go
how
and stuff.
hard we fought to shut down their nuclear program.
Yeah, I mean they didn't love us before, but it's like, I mean, how many more nations are we gonna ban that are gonna reciprocate, and we lose these international relations because now suddenly Iran doesn't like us, but now how long before because we banned nations that are friends of Iran, how long before Iran bans our friends, and then our other neighboring nations that we trade with lose a trade partner
Yeah.
as well.
This is gonna sound a little mean, I guess, But my thing is, why do we necessarily care if we lose trade deals with Iran?
I don't even know.
What do we
would
lose
we
out of
buy
that?
from Iran?
That's what I'm saying.
What
I
do we
haven't had.
sell to Iran.
This is the thing. Like, yeah, we're losing these friends,
They're technically not
but
even
they're
friends.
not really friends. They're kind of moochers. All right, it's not. It's not really a problem to me to lose moochers.
Well,
What if we lose
explain
Mexico?
explain the moocher.
Like, we get screwed on every deal because we provide so much more to them than they'll ever provide to us.
True.
Type of deal. Like, I mean, it's kind of rude. I mean, it's kind of a mean way to say it, and I understand that. But it's also like
the
a
truth.
realistic type of view. Is like we'll lose friend. Like, if we put it in just to a real life perspective, you lose a friend. Or so say you have a friend and you're always buying him Taco Bell or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like he's never buying you anything, and all of a sudden maybe you say something that makes him upset, and he stops being your friend. Well, what did you actually lose? You actually gained some money there.
Well,
In the long run.
can we look up some facts behind any trade deals that have gone on before, or
In,
any imports, exports, or
Did you find
or
anything about
business
that wall?
Wait, so
exchanges we've made with Iran in our past?
I guess we could just talk about the Iran nuclear deal, which is where we gave Iran the ability to make nuclear weapons, which is not
Well,
smart.
Smartest thing.
I don't know. Did
you
we,
know,
we
honestly,
didn't
if
give them,
any Arab
Well,
country gets a
we
nuclear
restricted
weapon,
them from doing it,
we definitely restricted them.
but then now we don't.
Yeah, but we didn't give them any technology.
No, we didn't give them anything.
We didn't sell them anything. We just allowed them.
Yeah.
We scaled back. You know, trying to have them by the neck there. We scaled that back,
Mhm.
and
Which-
we kind of let them find it on their own.
Yeah, I mean that's not a bad thing. I'm all for like letting people do what they want, but like in this situation, it's a little different with nuclear.
You know, I think a lot of people get a misconception when they think of Iran that they also think of Iraq and like Libya and the war-torn countries. Iran is a first world nation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They have a strong military force, and I'm sure if they had nuclear weapons that they would use them. I don't think anything against it, and I think they would use them against Israel.
Yeah, and
And
which is, I mean,
first
we have
off-
a responsibility to
Why do we
by
have a
creating
responsibility?
Israel, we have a responsibility to protect those people.
I don't think we have any responsibility to protect those people.
I think that us and
I
them.
mean they're the only ones that are actually first world Western civilized.
Well, they're a Western,
like,
they're a Western
sane
civilization
individuals.
Thanks
in,
to us,
in the Middle
though.
East.
Yeah,
which we put them there.
yeah, and we put
They're
them
the
there, and so I mean,
only
we-
country that
but
gets
the-
attacked out of those ones.
But they're also the only country to shoot missiles out of their wall.
because they were being
That's
shot
that's all
at.
they do. I mean,
Yeah,
you're being shot at by Palestinians who run around in rags and maybe have an AK every now and again.
That's
Like,
kind
yeah,
of
okay,
scary.
but do you wanna
Yeah, I'm gonna
blow
kill
up
that
them
guy
all?
Yeah, I'm
before
not-
he kills me.
I'm not going to get into that because Israel's the only country to actually allow Palestinians as citizens of Israel.
See,
That's the only country.
It's because they're the only ones that actually don't behead people in the streets. Like everybody hates Israel
Everybody hates
in
Israel.
that area, specifically because they're not Muslim.
yes,
Like that's specifics.
they're
Like,
Jewish. Yeah,
and so like, I think that's kind of bad.
yeah. I mean, you feel bad for them. I mean, they're hated by everybody around them. Everybody around them that surrounds them, with the exception of the water on one side, wants to kill them. Wants to get rid of them. And I think we put them there, so we have a responsibility to provide them with military technology, provide them with all this stuff, and to protect them as best that we can. Because
Israel has a top 5 military in the world.
because we gave it to them, because
And
we helped
everybody is required to serve 2 years in the military, regardless
It's
of.
the same thing as
They have.
Switzerland.
You're talking about like gender equality here. Israel has gender equality. You have to serve in the military if you're a woman for 2 years. You have to serve in the military if you're a man for 2 years of your life, and that's why they're sick at their
They
jobs.
get to pick and choose when, or they do
No,
like,
I think it's like a
right
certain
team?
age.
Yeah,
I think
it's
right when you hit an age. Yeah.
like grade school or something
Wow.
like that. You go in the
See,
military.
now this is kind of like, this is kind of like where I probably differ from a lot of people. Like for me, I could say that I would be willing to serve in the military if it was required, and I know a lot of people wouldn't. We like our freedom here in America and stuff like that. But I would beg to argue that if everybody was required to serve 2 years, you know how much like camaraderie the United States would have. Like you know how it is being on a football team.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
It teaches a lot of things, like
Teaches a
football
lot of
does. It teaches a
discipline.
lot. Yeah, discipline,
And how to
hard
be a
work.
hard worker.
Well,
to-
then you would
how to
love
take
America,
direction.
wouldn't you? Like, we like Eastern because we're Greyhounds, and
Yeah.
we are a team that plays against other teams that we don't like. And so like that our hate for everybody else makes us a better team and we like each other more. So I think it would actually solve a lot of problems. Like if you had to serve in the military,
It's an interesting idea.
most
it
people
is
be broke, too.
nobody's
I like
going to because everybody's selfish and like
Well, and the
I
other
can
thing
see
is
that.
we're so big. I mean,
Yeah, there's no
Israel is
way.
not that big. And
We're-
Israel needs the huge army. They need
Yeah.
everybody to step up and help for the greater good
Because
of that
how big
country.
is Israel like state
It's
compared
not
to like
very
our
big.
states?
Like,
It's smaller than New Mexico.
Oh yeah, I mean
well,
it's
I think
New
it's-
Mexico's bigger than most of the
Well,
countries
New
in the
Mexico
world.
is fifth biggest state in America, and yeah, we're bigger than most.
What-
Any country in Europe.
Would it be
thinking-
like New Jersey?
I'm thinking New Jersey too. I'm thinking New Jersey. I think it's bigger than Delaware.
Yeah, they need that.
But I think it's probably about the size of New Jersey.
Just
I
a
think.
hypothetical, real quick, because this is interesting to talk about.
How
We have
many
the biggest
people are in New
army in
Jersey?
the United States, right?
Imagine how big.
Imagine if everybody was required to serve for 2
Oh,
years.
man.
we already have the biggest military.
Exactly.
To have
like,
that, so
just
much
think
more.
about it. I'm
Imagine-
not saying that we should or anything. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
it'd be interesting. We would never lose. Well, we never. I mean, we kind of lost a war.
I mean, we did lose
We
Vietnam.
did, yeah.
And,
Vietnam, yeah.
That was just stupid on us.
Well,
But
was it? Was it? I mean, we did go into Korea and didn't like we pushed all the way up and then got pushed all the way back down. So there was no, and technically, the war isn't over. It's been on a ceasefire.
I lost my mic here.
are you plugged in back there?
Snap, my bad. I got too comfortable. That's wild to think about.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting to think about.
Yeah, because
And then you wouldn't actually be scared to be in the military if we had that big of a military, you know? Like, it's like,
and not everyone's go out to like the war zone. You know what I'm saying? They only need so many.
I'm
so-
just, like, as like just a pride thing, it would be like one of those things. It's like United States, nobody's burning flags
no.
at that
And,
point.
You
No.
know, and the whole aspect of joining the military, even now, I think that, you know, if we had to defend our country, I would be gone in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
And
I would do it.
if it was a foreign war, given the aspects of like, well, I'll just say World War II because that was the last technical war that we fought. There was an evil rampage going on in Europe, and it needed to be stopped.
Mhm.
And you know, I think I would go to fight that too. But would I join to go fight
Vietnam?
Vietnam? I probably would have been sent there already.
Yeah, we
It
don't really
doesn't
know
really
because like
count.
they were kind of there was so much propaganda
I'm
those
thinking
days.
more
Like,
of like
Yeah.
Desert Storm. I'm thinking more of Operation Afghanistan and Iraq.
Mhm.
Those countries we didn't need to go invade. We didn't
No.
need it.
and that's what
And it
destabilized
just
a lot of things too.
Destabilized the whole Middle East.
We kind of caused our own problems by doing this. And this is why it goes back to the whole argument, why are we so involved in everybody's crap? Well, actually, you know what? I can't say that because, like, as far as, like, the whole... Everybody thought it was a good idea to retaliate for the Twin Towers being blown up. I mean, not everybody did, obviously. But for me, it was like, I can say this, and I say it probably was wrong to go to war with Iraq because of that. However, I would have still done it because it's like one of those things you don't attack our country and get away with it type of deal. We did it. Everything went wrong. We did it wrong.
But it
Yeah.
was... but it was terrorism.
It
wasn't-
was.
You can't...
Can't blame Iraq for that.
You can't blame the whole country of Iraq and send them into turmoil for...
See,
14
I don't have enough
individuals
to
that
even
was-
talk about that really. 'Cause
Most of them weren't even from Iraq. They were from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, and then the weapons of mass destruction thing was the excuse that we used to initially go into Iraq. I mean, that one's. I think that was huge, very, very controversial. I think that caused, you know, a lot of people to say like this was a bad, very bad war that we should not have been involved in.
yeah, I'm not gonna say anything more about it because I don't.
Yeah,
I
we
was,
should,
like-
we should probably get back to our
Yeah.
other.
Well, we got
topics.
10 minutes left. Any arguments you guys have for or against the wall? I mean, I said the physical barriers, and I mean that's pretty. That's like a common sense thing. It's not necessarily like a.
Well, I want to go back to what you said about the physical barriers.
Yeah.
And what about our natural border, the river, the Rio Grande River that runs
They'll
the
probably do
entire
something-
length of Texas?
They'll
Well,
do
I
something
mean-
to like go around it or go over it or something.
There's-
What are you gonna do? Are you going to build over the river?
Yeah. I don't see why not.
You're gonna what?
No, they'd probably.
Like, what do you mean build over the river?
Like-
Whose side do you build the wall on?
yeah,
is
that's what
he's
I'm
asking.
saying. Is who
Our side for
our,
one.
our side gets
Yeah,
over
If
the
for
we
one.
build it
Okay.
on our side,
Now,
Is
what,
that
we
river-
what
lose
about all
access
the
to
what
the
about
Rio
all the
Grande.
public ranchers that
Yeah.
have owned that land and say, I don't want a wall on my land?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We
Yeah.
lose access to. That's a great point, Jeremiah.
Yeah.
Because I never thought about
Most
that.
of the land isn't.
They're probably the ones that
state-owned.
voted for Trump, to be honest.
It's privately owned land. The border is privately owned land.
But if we build it on Mexico's side, then they lose the resource of the Rio Grande.
What if we
know.
just don't build on? I mean, we're just talking speculation now because we don't have any control.
And that's what
of
I'm
where
saying
it's
is
built.
that you don't build where the river is.
And I don't
they
think
already
anybody
have
has a problem.
fence
They
there.
probably send somebody to be watching it all the time. Then the whole point of the wall is to keep people out. You have the open area,
Well,
you know, right
the,
by the
Texas,
river.
the Texas border is significantly militarized.
The literal point of the wall is just to have a barrier, and if you have a river, I mean, you have a barrier. So
Yeah.
I don't see a
People
problem.
come through the river though.
Yeah,
You hear
but-
stories
and
about it all the time.
It's just, I mean, yeah, you do.
But have you ever
and-
seen the river down there? There's no water.
Yeah, have you seen? Yeah, I live in Rio Rancho, and the river's right there, and there's no
Yeah,
water.
there's no water. Only
It's
when
gone.
it rains heavily, but yeah.
Even like I remember, it used to be huge. Like the Rio Grande was a
Used
big
to
river.
be.
Back in the
It-
day, yeah.
It
but-
still can be. Sometimes
What
I've
is-
seen it's all the way up at the bridge. It's over
Why
the
is
floodplains.
that?
Partially because
There'll be no
the,
rain.
snow,
Isn't
the
like
snow
Co-
melt in Colorado.
Are we
Well, I
about
thought
to go into
Colorado-
climate change here?
No, I think-
there's a lot of
say.
there's a lot of dams in between. They open and let,
Well, I
let
thought
water go.
Colorado has this deal where they can take water from us because for some reason, like
They do, and we have the same deal with Arizona and Texas. It's their water first.
yeah. So
it's
is
their
that
water
that
first.
why it's going down? Because like Colorado needs it more, or like I'm just wondering why the Rio Grande is so much smaller than it used to be.
Well,
and I don't think it was climate change
all
in
the
this sense.
all the
I think it
farming
is.
between all the farming that goes through New Mexico. I mean, like you get the whole Hatch Valley.
Yeah.
You get all of
I guess
the
farming-
farms in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho area up to Santa Fe. Through Taos and all that stuff, you have tons of irrigation that happens, and then all the
I
way
guess-
through Colorado. I mean, Alamosa, huge farming community.
Human population size.
And then drinking water,
would be
all
the
this other good
direct
stuff.
cause.
And we have the same thing with Arizona, and I know that in Silver City we've constantly been fighting the government of Arizona because they cry about how they don't get enough water. Well, don't live in the desert.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. Don't live in the desert because that's our water. That we need it more.
Water's a weird thing. I heard that one time they this guy he built a car that runs on water,
Yeah, I've seen that.
but
I've seen that,
all
too.
the oil companies paid him off and bought all his permits and stuff, or all his what are they called? The stuff when you signed that nobody else could take it.
Patents,
Patents. Yeah,
copyright,
they
yeah.
took all his patents because they didn't want him to screw them over. Which I mean, I was all for the water guy at that point. Like, I want
Yeah,
all car
but,
that runs
you know,
on water.
I haven't dope.
Big
Salt
businesses and
water.
corporations are not going to let him
Yeah, there's not.
let that catch flame.
Which
I don't know. I mean, but you can run your diesel car. I mean, diesel truck on olive oil.
I love
kitchen
diesel.
grease. I mean, diesel's honestly more pure. I don't know why diesel's more expensive. Diesel's a
it used to be
byproduct
cheaper because I used to have a
of
diesel
making
truck.
gasoline.
And the reason why I had this truck was because my parents wanted me to have a truck that used less.
And
paid.
it's stronger too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
diesel runs on
engines-
anything.
Diesel engines will last,
Forever.
300,000,
Yeah.
whereas like, the normal gas, kind of 200,000 you're lucky
Yeah.
if you get there.
Did you know that some old military diesel trucks used to be able to run on coal dust? like,
Wow.
Dust.
like I don't know exactly. I just know it was coal dust. I'm sure they had to make it liquefy or. Well, I guess it runs on fumes.
Well,
so-
I mean, they're fuel injected, which just means that the piston's gonna go up, and it's just the piston goes up, and at the last second, it's gonna squirt in the liquid, and it's gonna explode from the compaction, and that's the whole.
I
point
just
of
thought
that.
diesels are sick.
So I mean, you could.
We got about 5 minutes left. Is there anything we want to talk about the wall? I mean, we didn't really get into like the whole social issues of the wall.
We talked a
We
lot
hear
about,
these
A
all
little
the
bit,
time.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about the
Kind of
physical
old
issues,
subject by
the-
now too.
how it'll be built.
Yeah.
And the kind of that sort of
How tall is the wall
infrastructure.
gonna be?
Yeah.
Do we believe with the rest of the social justice warriors that the wall is a form of being racist as Americans?
Well,
It could be viewed like that.
It could be
I
viewed
see
like
how
that. I
people
could see
would
that.
think that, but it's
It's
not.
just see, the thing is with like conservatives, we would be fine with a Canadian wall too. Like it's not because they're Mexicans. It's just where the problem is the most Canadians aren't running into the United States.
Yeah,
as
but
much.
I mean, like the way it
Canada's
Canada's
awesome,
said
though.
Canada's a great country.
Yeah.
the way it looks from the outside, though, from Mexicans' perspective,
Yeah.
from Mexico's perspective, I guess
Yeah.
is a lot of them probably, I'm guessing, think that we have like this such an ultranationalist mentality. You think that we're America, we're great, we're better than everyone, and we don't want to share this with anyone. You know,
Yeah.
we don't want anyone to be able to just walk into our country and be able to reap the benefits of of our government, and that's not a great mentality to have. That's not a great reputation to have, I should say, for trade and getting along with all the nations.
I don't think it's a racist thing at all. And
No.
if you see it as being racist,
It's more
then,
like
then you're a racist, like for real. Because look, if more than 1/3 of the United States population is Hispanic and is growing. It's gonna be a Hispanic majority population probably within the next
A
20
lot of
years.
people don't know this, but I'm half Hispanic.
There you go. See,
am I.
Austin Patterson's
You wouldn't think
half
that,
Mexican.
would you?
There you
Well,
go.
now-
Probably the whitest person you ever seen.
No, but it all goes back to the way he said it though. Trump. Yeah, that's why people think it's a racist thing. Because when he first came out with this news, I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was the most racist thing ever. So
Well, I mean, the way he said it did sound pretty
it
bad.
sounded really racist.
didn't
I was
handle
like,
it
He
bro,
only did it to
you know?
get
Very
elected.
sensitive way.
Oh yeah, he
What's
definitely
that?
did that, but
What'd you say?
I just said he didn't handle it in a very sensitive way.
no, not at all. So I see why people think that, but it's not. I don't think it's racist.
I think people need to do their. It goes back to this every time. People just need to do their own research. They need to stop taking things out of context. They need to stop watching Facebook video memes
Yeah.
about these situations because
they
that
are
just screws
funny, though.
everybody up. They're hilarious.
Yeah.
But as long as you keep them that way and not turn them into an actual political statement.
Yeah, I saw.
I mean-
I saw this funny one where he said the president of Mexico said he'd pay for the wall if we give him back all the land we took from him, and it was going all the way up into Utah,
Yeah.
to Colorado, all of Texas.
Yeah,
And see,
no.
that's hilarious.
That's funny, but that's never
there's
gonna
people
happen.
that will
That
take
believe
that as fact. And that's our problem with the United States.
Yeah.
That's our problem with everybody that, like, I'm going to say, even on the conservative side, there's crazy conservatives that believe a lot of stuff that's not true at all.
Shout out to Tommy Lauren. That lady is
Tommy
Yeah,
Lauren,
yeah.
that lady's pretty wild.
She's crazy.
I don't think I've agreed with anything that has come out of her mouth.
Have you seen
very bold going after Jay-Z and Beyonce?
Have
See-
you seen the video where what's his name? The guy that does the Daily Show,
Daily Show.
the black guy.
John
that does
Stewart? Oh no.
On Comedy Central?
Yeah, on Comedy Central. Well, Tommy Lauren went in there, and
Yeah.
he's a hardcore liberal. She's
Yeah.
hardcore conservative, and he just shut her down.
Yeah, he was.
You gotta look at the
I will
video,
say
it's
this,
hilarious.
like his questions and stuff were written ahead of time, but her responses were not good.
It was
They
her
were
fault.
not good.
It was her fault for going on.
She did not look prepared in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stepped into the lion's den.
Yeah. She's,
Definitely don't agree from my perspective. But really, anything she says, she seems very fierce, very riled up, very angry,
Yeah.
very pushed around. To
No,
use
I'm
some,
I'm
some
not saying
pit
that her
language.
facts aren't true, because she does say true things, but she only takes the one side of it. She only fights for one side. She
Yeah.
doesn't try to meet in the middle at all.
No.
She
See, and, like,
tries
for
to
me-
fight
Not
the
most
other
people,
side.
though.
being a conservative, I would never use that as my base of argument. And that's, like, I think what both sides need to realize. We got to stop taking the side of some individual that has a stand, that has, like, a political stance, and maybe do our own research. And that's kind of the whole point of this.
Beautiful. I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah,
Liberal,
it's-
conservative, libertarian. It doesn't matter
Just
where
how it
you
is.
stand on the spectrum. We
Yeah.
can all agree that education and being more educated behind issues, is better off for everyone.
Well, I think that you ended it right there.
Okay.
Anybody have any final closing statements? Because we're done for today.
Have a great week. I love you.
Have a great President's Day.
Yes.
The rest of it.
Oh yeah, that did too.
As
I
we
think,
celebrate Donald J. Trump.
We're gonna try and switch up the times here one of these days, and we're gonna have to do little different setups, like maybe have like only two people come at once every once in a while, so that we kind of mix it up. And we're probably gonna have people start coming on like cameras and things like that. So stay tuned to the pit. We're kind of growing. We're kind of learning a bunch of stuff. We're
Getting
doing all
better
kinds of
every
stuff.
week.
Yeah, we're doing some things here, but that's it for today. It was a good talk. I mean, it wasn't like crazy.
No.
There wasn't anything that's like clickbait worthy, I don't think. Dang it.
Damn.
But anyways, guys, thanks for watching the pit, and we will. I got music too. We're gonna try something else out here too on the exit. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. We'll keep you posted. We might do a different time too. So yeah, that's it. Laters.
Anything to plug?
Oh yeah, plugs. Come back, come back. Well, actually, we won't tell them this week, but the O Sports Show. We're gonna have commercials for O Sports Show, Easy Teas, I Am New Productions. Anybody else have anything they want to try and get sponsors from?
Nike.
We gotta get some
Nike. Nike coming next.
No, we gotta get some local brands in there. We gotta
Yeah.
get some New
Yeah,
Mexico
we could
brands.
do-
Maybe Eastern New Mexico Fish and Kayak. Shout out.
Fish
There we
and
go.
kayak.
It's a club.
Some
I
Albuquerque
did the
Tortilla
logo for
Company
it
or
and
something.
stuff. But anyways, we're getting over time. Here, cue music. Laters.
Later.
feeling.